This podcast is presented by Visa, a network working for everyone. Overcoming the odds, rewriting the playbook, delivering under pressure. The MVPs of small businesses lead their teams to victory all year long. Visa is proud to provide playmakers everywhere with more tools to help grow their business and help them achieve even greater success. Because the more people we can empower, the more we all win. Visa, a network working for everyone. Did you guys know that ticket prices for sporting events actually go down right before the game? They do, and there's an app called Game Time that helps you find the best last-minute deals. You can actually get up to 60% off. They even guarantee the lowest price, or they'll credit you 110%. But there's more. Right now, Game Time is hooking you up with a $10 credit to try them out. But here's what you do. Download the Game Time app at the Google app or the Apple App Store. Click on the Account tab and then redeem code. Enter The Athletic. Again, that's The Athletic, all one word, and get $10 off your first purchase. This is free money, guys, but don't wait on this one because the credit is only available to the first 1,000 people who redeem the code. So what are you waiting for? Download Game Time now. Best seats, lowest price, guaranteed.
This is the Athletic Football Show.
Welcome to the Athletic Football Show. I'm Robert Mays. Joining me tonight is my good friend Nate Tice. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I got to ask what Kent with that. I don't know if you put the music for the waiting room, but it was like a little lo-fi beat going. I was like vibing, like I was just kind of hanging out, like, okay, this is pretty good. This is like a nice little warm-up song. But we made it week one.
We spent a lot of time picking that warm-up music. We did make it week one. Week one is amazing, but it's also a lot. There was so much to keep track of. I always forget it every single year when the games actually start and I'm trying to keep track of 3 screens and 6 games and everything that's going on. By the time the day ends, I'm just emotionally exhausted, which was really good for this week because it meant that I couldn't engage with the Bears game to any sort of degree. So it kind of washed over me in a way where I was watching it in the background, which was probably best considering what happened.
I'm just picturing you like the dad from Married with Children, like just hand down pants, just sprawled, just resigned. Bears game. Hey, Fields 2 for 2. That at least you got a little pop right there.
At this point, it just seems like they're biding time until he plays. And when you think about the rest of the roster, and that's always how it was going to feel. But that's what tonight was. You come out, you're playing in their stadium. They're so excited to have Stafford there. And you just see the holes. The offensive line isn't very good. The secondary isn't very good. And until he starts to play and we understand what the future might look like with him at quarterback, none of the rest of this doesn't really matter. And that's how I felt coming in. And tonight was just such a confirmation of that entire situation.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. It felt like they were just wanting to sprinkle him in just a little, do the live reps, just feed the bullets. But it's like, they wouldn't do that if they weren't expecting him to be the guy coming down the road. So that's like, it just makes all the sense of the world. And Andy Dalton did what he could. The opening interception was brutal, but at least he did what he could, considering the.
Yeah, so it's exactly. It's just like he was fine, and we knew Andy Dalton's going to be fine. That's what he is, and we understand that. But until Justin Fields plays, it's just I don't really know what we're waiting for. I don't really know what we're doing. But we'll have that conversation at another time. For right now, let's get to the first 15. So this is every single week we're going to start with this. This is a new way to open the show that we're doing this year. It's the first 15 minutes of the show, which also happens to be a football term. It's the first 15 plays you come out with your script. So it aligns very well. So we're going to start with the first 15 every single week. This week, we're starting with some of the marquee games of the week that featured teams that fancy themselves contenders in the AFC. There were a couple pretty important matchups in that regard today during week one. Obviously, we got the Browns and the Chiefs. We got the Steelers and the Bills. Let's start with the Browns and the Chiefs in that afternoon slot. A rematch of a playoff game from last year, obviously. So many things went right for the Browns in this game. So many things. They played so well, and it still didn't end up mattering. And I just can't imagine how frustrating it has to be playing against that quarterback and this Chiefs team when you can play as well as Cleveland did for 90% of that game and still just look around at each other in the locker room and wonder, how did we lose that game?
I mean, just looking at the stats for both quarterbacks was ridiculous. Like the EPA per play was Baker had 0.31 EPA per play. That's awesome. You know, your quarterback got you. And then Mahomes finished with 0.51 EPA. It was just he for a total of 23 EPA just added. Like it's just, I mean, just ridiculous. That must be the most frustrating thing ever. Am I breaking up for you, by the way?
A little bit.
Let me switch my internet real quick. That way we can go right back into this. My bad. Sorry, everybody.
This is what happens in week one. We're also figuring things out. These are the little tiny tweaks you have to make to your offense, to your defense, and to your internet as we get going here.
Behind the scenes, everyone. This will be cut up for the podcast. This is only for.
How about now? Are we good now?
I think you're. Give me a little mic. You talk to me, Nate.
Test. Hold on.
Oh, never mind. Nate decided to sleep. Robert,
hey guys.
Andy Dalton and the Bears.
Oh God, let's talk more about Andy Dalton. Hey guys, this is me kind of filling time here as we wait for Nate to get back. This is what you run into when you're trying to do this at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night.
SoFi Stadium looked beautiful, though. I got to say that.
I went there. I went there for Chargers training camp. So they had a practice there, and Nate is back. And it was great. It was beautiful. I cannot wait to spend more time there and be back there for the Super Bowl. You look great, buddy. All right, let's get back to the Browns.
Okay, great. All right,
let's get back to the Browns. So here's my takeaway with the Browns from this game. I don't feel any less enthusiastic about the Cleveland Browns right now than I did before coming into this game, because I thought that they would be a real contender in the AFC. I picked them to win the AFC North, and I feel pretty good about that after that performance. Their offense looked excellent, and they were doing so many fun wrinkles. I mean, the ways that they got, I did not expect that much Anthony Schwartz. The week one coming out of, even with Beckham hurt, I still didn't expect him to be that much a part of the game plan. And everything we come to expect from the Browns that we want from the Browns, where it's cheap yardage on screens, tons of play action, but it was just one step beyond the stuff we saw from them last year. Like even Schwartz, the first completion to him on that deep cross coming left to right on the boot to the left. Because typically we see stuff coming to that side when they do all those boots to the left. And instead, it's all the way across the formation. That's what it was. It was just like, all right, here's what you come to expect from us, just turned up a tiny bit. And that's exactly what I wanted to see from the Browns offense this year.
It was one of the first third downs, and it kind of like it showed how like smart of a game plan Stefanski and Bill Callahan put together, because they ran a sprint out with Baker Mayfield, and he pulled up, and I think this is what you're talking about. But what's so great about that is, one, it's a safe ass protection. Like it is 7 guys full slide usually. 2, you're moving the quarterback, like you're getting the quarterback away from the pocket. So guys, pass rushers are aiming for a point, so you're moving it on them, so they have to, oh shoot, this is different. And then off the top of that, it's like, like that play going against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are so aggressive. We make jokes about how aggressive Spags is, and all those safeties, all the DBs, they cut everything. They're just, how many times you see Tyrann Mathieu cutting on a dig or something of that, a crosser. And what that play was, that throwback was taking advantage of that. They're like, hey, we're going to have a safe protection. We're not going to let you get after the quarterback. And then on top of it, we hit a chunk play on you. And it's safe. It's like that. Oh, that's so good. That stuff's so nice. And that's what's so funny. I like you just said, I wasn't expecting that much Anthony Schwartz sprinkled in. And I was like, the first one, or second one, I should say, made sense. Drive starter, 22 personnel. He's the only receiver out there. And it's like shot play, circled, triangled, like star that a shot play is coming. Anthony Schwartz is not in there to block. Like that, he is in there to just go bombs away. Like that's Khalif Raymond with the Titans against the Ravens. That is why he is in there. So like I was expecting that. I wasn't expecting all these kind of normal plays and the actual progression to happen. They did a great job. I mean, they were booting them to death early. They were taking advantage of on those pressures that the Chiefs are bringing. If you run a flat coming the other way, the guy that has to cover the flat, he has to worry about the run gap, and then all of a sudden he has to come all the way back. It's really hard against that aggressive team because you have to go all the way back. It's just back and forth. And it was just a really nice game plan. And of course, the run game was awesome. The pin pull stuff, the gap scheme, all the power. Like
the counter touchdown was beautiful. I mean, he walked in from 20 yards away. I mean, that was a gorgeous play. But I mean, everything about that. Batonio slips into the second level. Awesome. What did you think of just Baker's performance overall? Because I thought he was fantastic.
What he was being asked to do, that's what they need him to do. What he did today, he hit the one. I'm a little lower on Baker than most, but like the thing is, he hit a comeback throw early on that was like badass. Like hit a deep comeback in rhythm, and it was in the process of the play. And I want to say it was a boot or a play action, but a boot or a play action that they ran. but yeah, he hit a comeback, and I was like, that was a pretty badass throw. Drop back at the end of the game was football. It wasn't like, oh my God, that was. He's getting hit. The ball, shit happens kind of play. I thought Baker played fine. I mean, shit, even the stats back it up, and I didn't have any qualms. But that's what they need him to play like, is how he played today.
I mean, there were a couple throws. The seam ball that he ripped to Njoku up the right side was just a gorgeous throw. And then the corner route he threw to Njoku on the left side was a gorgeous throw. I mean, there were a couple. He threw the ball about as well as you could hope Baker Mayfield would throw the ball.
Yes.
And they still lost. And they still lost. And these are the games that happen, and these are the moments that happen, right? Chubb fumbles when they're hoping to go up by 2 scores and kind of start to put this thing out of reach. That's a huge moment. Then they have just the ridiculous 50-yard, I'm rolling out to my right, let me just chuck this thing up and let Tyreek Hill go get it, touchdown. And then you have the Chris Jones sack, and then you have the dropped punt. I mean, the punter just dropping the ball, and it's because you wonder, it's like, man, how did they manage to let this thing slip away after playing so well? And then you go back and rewatch it, and it's like these little tiny moments. And that's what happens. It's like if you give the Chiefs an inch, they're going to take it. They only need a couple little swing plays, and they got those plays. But again, I leave this game still believing these are 2 of the best 3 or 4 teams in the AFC.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a program loss, as they say, but I'm sure it's so freaking frustrating for the Browns. I mean, it has to be. I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, isn't it? It's like you have to run out the clock. So Mahomes, like Texas A&M, I think it's like the Aggies never lose. They just run out of time. Like that's how Mahomes feels like when he has the ball. And honestly, it was kind of cool watching like Orlando Brown against Myles Garrett the entire game. That was a really fun matchup. And honestly, even though Myles Garrett got his, I think got a sack, couple quarterback hits, Orlando Brown was just really doing a good job being isolated against Myles Garrett for the entire game. So it was good. It was a really good job by them. I mean, it's just the Chiefs. They were doing all what they do, RPOs, hitting Tyreek Hill going over the top. It was just really good.
All right, let's get to the other AFC game because I felt that one was more interesting. And I think it was a little bit more illuminating than whatever the Browns-Chiefs game was. So let's talk about the Steelers and the Bills. The Steelers end up beating the Bills 23-16. Allen finishes 30 of 51 for 270 yards. And it was a little bit of a disconcerting game for the Bills offense. I'm going to be honest with you. There were some things in that game. I'm sure they'll be fine. But I felt a lot of people, me included even, thought that they were just going to be full speed ahead coming into this year after what last season was. Even after the little hiccup in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, I still expected their offense to be really good right away, even against a pretty good defense like the Steelers have. And I just was so impressed with the way the Steelers played up front. And it felt like the Bills just had no answer for the way that the Steelers were playing against them. I looked up the numbers and I figured this was the case. Allen was the most blitzed quarterback in the NFL last season. If you look at total blitz dropbacks, some of that was just the volume of throws that they had. But teams went after him. The Steelers last year blitzed him on 26 of his 46 dropbacks in their game. I couldn't count 5 times in this game where they sent 5 or more pass rushers. They were completely inclined and completely comfortable saying, we're going to rush 4, we're going to beat the shit out of you up front, and we're going to play coverage behind it. And the Bills just did not have an answer for whatever that recipe was.
It was not so Blitzburg. It was
yes.
It really wasn't. Dude, Micah Fitzpatrick was a phenom today.
He played so well. There were like 3 or 4 splash plays. The play before the very weird backwards throwback pass on 4th and 1, that 4th and 1 doesn't happen if Minka doesn't come downhill and make that play right in front of right on the third down. And he had a couple of those. The third down, and he had a PBU against Cole Beasley early in the game where they tried to isolate Beasley on him from the slot and then had Beasley take it vertical, and he stuck with him step for step the entire way. That guy is really, really good. Like, the Steelers defense is full of incredible players, and then when you have guys like Melvin Ingram just dropped into the equation that are kicking ass from day one when they get there, it's a recipe for something very special. Like, that defense has a chance to just be a top 3 unit again. They were unbelievable today.
Unbelievable. I was like, so rewatching it, I was like, oh my God, this was so much fun. They did a really cool thing with Fitzpatrick. And I'm really excited. Would be, they had Fitzpatrick in the slot looking like he's in a pressure position. And it's a classic look. Like, it's the joke. The safety caps the slot, and usually the slot comes on the pressure. Like, that's, good defenses will hide that, disguise it in some way, shape, or form. And what they did, they showed it like real early, like he's coming. He then flew into the center like a robber, and from the slot just flew into the center. And they were really just messing with the defense or with the offense's games. And Josh Allen double clutched it, and they did it a couple of times. It was really cool. Fitzpatrick was just a phenom, but what they were doing, it was just like they weren't letting Josh Allen be Professor Chaos and just do all his craziness. And they were playing safe. And like you just said, they were just rushing forward and making him beat them just nickel and diming, which is not Josh Allen's real game. So I'm not too worried about the Bills, but it was a really, really good performance by the Steelers defense. And then Steelers offense was just more of the same. It was a lot of RPOs.
It was exactly the same recipe as last year, right? Like, let's just trust the fact that we have a few playmakers that are going to make some plays. There's the one chunk play to Claypool down the right sideline. There's the one chunk pass interference to Claypool down the left sideline. There's the Deontay Johnson touchdown in the back of the end zone. And when you're giving up 14 points in a game, or you're giving up 2 touchdowns in a game, and you're shutting down one of the best offenses in the league, you only need a couple scattered plays here and there. Block, punt, touchdown, game over, we win. Yeah. And, it's this. Their defense carried them today. Like, there's no way around that. And again, you talk about guys like Melvin Ingram just doing work against Deion Dawkins at points in this game, and then the contributions of guys like Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. It's just a combination of stuff. The touchdown or the strip sack by TJ Watt, he ends up cleaning that play up, but that's Cam Hayward is just destroying the middle of the pocket. Their front just dominated that game. And I think I don't want to overreact to what happens in week 1. That's always dangerous. But it's not like this Bills offensive line is full of superstars. Like, last year, I think that Allen does a really good job in protection and controlling protections. And he did a very good job last year when teams sent a lot of heat after him. But if they're just rushing 4, and there's no reason to get the ball out quickly because you're taking advantage of people lacking resources on the back end, your offensive line is just there to block 4 guys. Yeah. And when they can't do that, and when it's just one-on-one, like, we're going to have to hold on to it just a little bit when he has to double clutch every once in a while, I think you saw that this group might not be able to hold up against the better pass rushes in the league.
Well, especially if they can't get it going on first and second down, and they're stuck in those third and longs and third and 7s and 8s and 9s and 10s. Those add up. It's just, for how they want to play, that's really, really hard. They want to be in 10 personnel, or they want to be in 11, spread it out. In a way, you're making it complicated for the defense in one way, but also you're making it basic in another way, because it's like you can't do so much blocking wise and who you have in the backfield and all that. So you can't really get the help that you might want. But that's it's kind of a chicken and the egg, or kind of a double-edged sword. That's a better idiom. I'm going to go with that one when you play that way. But that's just how the Bills want to play. There's the highest rated EPA player, Josh Allen's legs, even more than Josh Allen's arm. And that's like the safety blanket that Josh Allen gives to that offense, that legs. But if they just have to get the run game going, they did in the fourth quarter a little bit, but that's just kind of like a weird game. So it's kind of, I think they have to figure first and second down out to help everything else out, to get them out of those third and hard situations, because it's just hard to live that way. And if you have Minka Fitzpatrick locking down your Cole Beasley read routes, okay, then what's your answer? That's going to come for that. But I trust that they're going to do it. They did it last year, but that's the thing, is they're trying to hide the O-line by getting the ball out quick, or Josh Allen going to do something.
All right, let's get to some of the things that grabbed our attention this week.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
As we alluded to at the start, that's a great drop. I'm very happy that we landed on this. So as we alluded to at the beginning of the show, when you're watching games on Sunday, there's a lot going on. It seems like there's just a wave of stuff coming at you. So every single week, we want to pick out a few things that stopped us in our tracks. Some of the stuff, it's like, all right, I have to pay attention to this. I have no choice but to lock in on this because it's so important and so notable. And the first thing that jumped out to me today was the Arizona Cardinals defense, man.
Yeah.
I mean, so last year, right, this team finishes 7th in weighted defensive DVOA, and I believe they were 9th just over the course of the entire season. It felt a little bit fluky.
Yeah.
You know, they did a lot of cool stuff with their pass rush packages where you got Andrew Gardeck making plays, and obviously Hassan Reddick has a career year, but they lose Chandler Jones. They're kind of hodgepodging it together up front. They're playing a ton of man coverage with these corners that we don't really trust, but it's somehow working. Isaiah Simmons is like figuring it out. And I just didn't know how sustainable all of that was. Like, could this defense be really good again? Or with very young, unproven corners on the back end especially, are they going to take a step back? And man, were they really, really good today. I mean, obviously we'll talk about Chandler Jones's performance, but I think overall, just these guys play fast. Like, I just think overall the way that we've seen them play over the last now 17 games is a testament to the job that Vance Joseph is doing there as their defensive coordinator.
And you can tell he's getting a better feel for his guys. And like when I say that, it's like Isaiah Simmons, like how he's getting utilized now. Like they have him off the edge in the slot, like going out to the flat. They had him carrying the slot. Like they're starting to use him kind of in better ways. And I mean, he's just becoming a better football player. His IQ, it's slowing down for him a little bit. I mean, he had a nice tackle on Derrick Henry. That was what shocked me. That I was like, oh, that was Simmons. Oh, wow, way to go, bud. But I mean, this defense also, this is what happens when you put 200 sack guys together and an offense doesn't know who to help out. Like they kept Chip helping on JJ's side, and then that opened up Chandler Jones's side and Luan. More than most of those one-on-one matchups, you know, he's going to lose some because Chandler Jones is a 100-sack guy. But it turns out that Luan lost a little more than he won. So it's just, that's what happens. It's just that's when you have the personnel and you open it up. And if you get the 5-man rushes that they got a couple times, it was just nice. Like they had a couple third downs where they were just obviously aware of Watt's alignment and like the Titans move the guys over there, like they had tight end split out there, like they had a game plan for it. But I just think they really expected their left tackle to hold up throughout the whole game, and just Isaiah Simmons is just really cool. And then they're really built through the spine. It's Budda Baker, the 2 young linebackers, and then the D line. Like they're not built for the outside. They're trying to force everything internal.
I thought that the corners played well today, though. I mean, I thought that Byron Murphy made a couple really good downhill plays on the ball. He was around the ball. I mean, and you combine that with the way that they played up front. You go back and you watch a guy that has 5 sacks in a game. And my first inclination every time you see something like that is, all right, did he really have 5 sacks? Like, how did he get those 5 sacks? So the first one, he's unblocked off the edge into a boot. So they just assume he's going to bite down on the run fake. We're not worried about it. And again, he did. Really good coach. Really good coaching. Like in that situation, like you have to be prepared for boots against this team.
Yes.
Tannehill turns around right into him in the boot, gets destroyed for a huge kind of game swinging strip sack that just allows them to create a little more breathing room early. And then other than that, he's just roasting dudes. Yeah. I mean, he was destroying on the second one. Luan tries to jump set him. It goes miserably. He's way out over his feet. A quick sack there. He's a nasty hump move for sack number 4 against Kendall Lamb after Luan went out. And then on sack number 5, Zach Allen rocked Saffold on a stunt. Like,
I know.
Really stunned him.
Yeah.
Really stunned him. And then obviously at that, then Jones comes back in. Saffold is not in a position to pass that thing off, and the whole thing just starts to crumble. So that's kind of what I mean. You have the just singular greatness of a guy like Chandler Jones, who looked incredible today on multiple occasions. But then you have guys like Zach Allen making plays to contribute to that. That's how great defense happens.
Yep.
And so I was just impressed with them on multiple different levels today.
Like you said, when great defense happens, when those auxiliary players, those backup, those role players also are just making plays for you. You don't just have to rely on your ace to just do shit every single time. It's a big play. And I know I love that's whenever I say like O-line edginess, that Chandler Jones sack he got in the game. Like that's what I mean right there, because they got the O-line to different levels, and that's not good. You want the pocket, everyone to be really, tight in together and like have just the same levels. So that's what I mean when I say edginess. That's what it was. That was like the epitome of edginess that Chandler Jones created that, or I'm sorry, that Allen created there. It was just a kick-ass performance. They really did. Derrick Henry couldn't get going. They kept running, really set the edge outside. So Henry had to plant his foot and get on.
And then guys are making plays on the backside. And that was the fun part, is that you had those Watt shoestring tackles 1 yard deep in the backfield that we'd gotten so used to over the years. And that's the coolest part, is that run defense is a team effort, right? I mean, that we know this. But on the first 2 drives on 1st and 10, Watt and Jones both had TFLs to just derail the drives before they even got started. They were doing that consistently in this game. And then you combine that with just cool little wrinkles. On the first 3rd and 12 that they had, they ran that version of cover 2 that we talked about with the Giants, where Murphy's down in the slot, bails out to the deep half, and the safety drops in. Allen double clutches it, play over. Tannehill double clutches it, play over. And so that's it. It's like, all right, you get fantastic performances from your stars. You get a play here, a play there from the guys that maybe are a little bit less proven on your defense. And then you throw a couple little wrenches in there schematically, and that's how you get a defensive performance like this, with a quarterback who'd been one of the most efficient players in the NFL over the last 2 years, finishing 21 of 35 for 212, and Henry finishing with 58 rushing yards, 19 of those coming on a single carry. He had 9 carries for 8 yards at one point in this game. I mean, it was a fantastic performance, and that's not even before even getting to the offense, which I'm sure we'll get into at a later date, but I wanted to focus on the defense here.
Agreed, because we always get so negative on the offense or what it could be, and then we never put a shine to what the defense has been doing this last 9-ish months. I
also don't know if the Titans defense is any good, so it's hard to put that performance in perspective.
And some of that offensive stuff was still, hey, Kyler, go do something. Honestly, Kyler did a lot of things today. Oh my God, he had the moon ball touchdown. That was just gorgeous. Might have been a throw of the day. This is how much these good players can dictate an offense, just even the plays that are called. The flea flicker the Titans ran.
Yeah.
First play that Chandler Jones and JJ Watt weren't on the field together.
That's right.
They were off and they went, okay, we can call it now. And guys will have game plans where they have 3 plays. We're okay, or Von Miller's off, or Khalil Mack's off, and then it was pretty funny. I noticed that rewatching, I was like, oh yeah, they're both off the field. That's why they went to it. They're we're not getting this blown up at all. So it's pretty. It was a good performance from the Cardinals defense. I'm excited to see them grow because they have a lot of cool young players too. Simmons and Zaven Collins, the other linebacker they drafted this year.
Totally. I mean, this was their offseason plan, right? We get Chandler Jones back. We go get JJ Watt. Let's let the guys up front carry us, and then we'll see if the young guys can come along at the pace that we're hoping for. And that's exactly what you saw today. I cannot wait to see what they look like here in the coming weeks. All right, our next one here, Shane Waldron. You have my attention.
Yes, you do.
You have my attention.
Yes, you do.
Russell finishes 18 of 23 for 254 and 4 touchdowns. And people that know a lot about the Seahawks offense and know the Seahawks very well have talked about this. This is going to be a blend. This is going to be a blend of the stuff that Russell likes and the stuff that we've seen from the Rams. And that's what it felt like today, where you had kind of these layup completions that we'll get to, and you had the bombs away completions that we want to see. And that blend of stuff, you don't have to make Russell Wilson an entirely different player. He was the MVP of the league for the first half of last year. But I think helping him out in subtle ways and combining that, which is the best ways to use that talent that you have on this team, you could have a really special offense in the making. And they played extremely well today.
They did. And what you just said about letting Russ do the stuff that he does well, just only do that. Just hey, Russ. And what that is those PAD balls, which everyone's kind of done, but they put them on the move a lot today. Even just bootlegs, getting them out of the pocket, which is great. It helps everybody out, the O-line, and just moving the pocket, just making the rush slow down a little bit. And Colts had a good rush. But also they would go into empty, and it was a lot of stick, of course. It's a McVay, Shanahan offense. But they would go into empty, and it's just every concept they had today. Lockett touchdowns one. I don't think that was out of empty. Is that they would always have a deep portion on the route. It was just not all pure quick game, that's what it's. Everything was pick aside and go. And even the 2x2 stuff, like the long touchdown, the second and that was a 2x2 mirrored concept, and then he just ran a corner post. It was a smash, which is a corner and flat on one side, and there was a flat and a corner post on the other side.
So Metcalf held that backside safety, that other safety on that side. I couldn't see it when I watched a couple of replays, but that's what it felt like.
Yep.
And that's Lockett on both of those touchdowns. His ability to subtly change direction at full speed is truly incredible.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, it's on both of those plays. Great ball tracker, but also on that corner post touchdown, he never breaks stride. It's a step in and then he's going without ever slowing down. And then on the first touchdown, I believe they were in like a single high defense, and he acted as though he was running that deep cross and then took it vertically instantly. And he took it right past that safety without ever slowing down. And that ability to change directions without changing gears, that makes you truly terrifying. And that's exactly what he is. And him at his best and Russell at his best, they are a really, really cool combination to watch play together.
When they say that's what he is, just like to a T. That's like what he is so good at. And like also even like with Metcalf wasn't like the star of the day, but they used him in a nice way. It was getting him where he doesn't have to tight turn on anything, where he can just run the big, deep scissor concept. Just get those big legs going. So it was kind of cool having him on the backside of the end zone and the red zone. Like just letting him do stuff that he was good at. And I really liked that. It was just good. Like it was what we talked about that we wanted to see out of this offense. It was just, hey, Russ, Russ is exciting. You're like, oh, I want to do this with him. I want to do this with him. I want to do this with him. But it's like, just do the stuff that he's really good at. And because he's really, really good at it. All scramble a little bit. It's good stuff. And I just want to, hopefully it sustains. Like you said, he was MVP of the first half of the season last year. Just want to see it for all 17 games now.
I loved how they got the tight ends involved too. In a few different ways, they were very cool. The first little play action screen to Everett to get a drive going in the first half. Those layups we talk about. Yep. I mean, just the Rams ran the exact same thing to Higbee. I don't know if the formation was the same, but the idea is the same, right? Yeah. It's what you're trying to accomplish is the same. So they hit Everett on that one. And then the throw he had to Disley on a little flood concept to the right sideline is just a fucking missile. Oh my God, that guy's ability to just the torque he can create with his upper body. We've always known that. That's why his arm strength is incredible, even though he's 6 feet tall. Yeah. Like that ball was a laser beam. And then the touchdown to Everett, I thought was very cool because in that situation, they put Everett split out wide to the right. It was a zone tell for Russell Wilson because Colts didn't do anything. Yeah. So they cleared that out, and then they had Everett come all the way back across, and then Leonard has to keep track of him from all the way outside to the right, loses him, easy, again, layup touchdown. Yeah. And again, it's just those combinations. Can we get the layups and the threes in this offense that lacked layups for so long? And I thought they did a really good job of doing that today. And they did it
boring. It wasn't the classic, or I should say predictable. I shouldn't say boring because some of this stuff is quote unquote boring, but it wasn't predictable. They kept the defense off balance with when they went to the shot stuff, when they went to a drop. He did it. It was a great example of play calling as opposed to just play design. And I think that's where Waldron, I was more impressed with him than I thought I would be. Like he had a good rhythm. He had a good feel of when to go deep or when to just run the ball a couple times, just get us back in rhythm. I thought he just did a really nice job. It was a really good to see because that's not an easy defense to go against. They can make you play safe and they're badasses up front. So if you don't have a good game plan to help out your O-line, they can really just it could be a real hard day for you where you're just getting really frustrated. I've seen those games where Russ gets frustrated and not to from him.
All right, let's get to our last one here. Joe Burrow, you have my attention.
Yes, you do.
Joe Burrow looked very, very sharp in his first game back today. Finished 20 of 27 for 261 and 2 touchdowns. It felt overall like today's performance from them was kind of an argument for the team building strategy that they followed this offseason, where you have Chase adding some juice to that offense, which is what that deep shot was. They hit him on a slant. There was a little bit of a yak opportunity. Higgins doing like very real receivery stuff. Yeah. Like a couple of the plays, we'll get to him, but a couple of the plays he had in the second half where he's just working as the number one receiver on the right side against what I assume was just like a quarters or man corner on that side, just putting guys in blenders was very impressive. And then just Burrow playing fast. playing fat. I mean, sacked 5 times, which is still a concern, hit 7 times against this front. I think that's going to make sense. But I think overall, he looked really, really sharp in his first game back.
If he used, and that's the thing you say, like he got sacked 5 times, got hit 7 times. He has no fat in his footwork. He is a really good mechanically sound quarterback that if you just give him enough time, you don't have to be perfect, but you just give him enough time to operate on time, he's going to get the ball out and he'll fuck up defenses. And today he had at least a half dozen throws that were like good, like really good QB throws, or NFL QB throws, like third downs, like the under and the sail route to Chase. I think it was on the same drive, but they're both third downs. And both of those, a free runner came in, and because he got the ball out so right on time on a hitch, if it was 5 and hitch, or just plant the foot and throwing, that the rush didn't matter, because that is, rather than just throwing a quick game and just getting the ball out that way, if you can get to 5 or even 7-step concepts and the ball's coming out right on time and the pass rush is not getting home, if you bring a pressure, that's suck for a defense to just go, for another blitz. I know I can kick this left guard's butt, but I can't even do it now because the ball's out already. And it's not just quick game where guys are rallying and tackling. I thought he put on a great performance today, and a little scary, not gonna lie, still a little scared, but it was a good performance. And oh my God, T. Higgins looked great. Jamar Chase looked so much better than he did in the preseason. Still have some issues with press. But it was just that's
the thing. The big plays that he was making are free release plays. He just ran by Bashaud Breeland on that play. I'm excited for Jamar Chase.
Segment without going negative.
If teams are gonna combat him that way, where he's just allowed to run by cornerbacks, he literally did not break stride on the touchdown. That is the element he gives you, right? That is the element he gives you in this offense that you want. That's not going to happen all of the time. No. But again, you need that explosiveness. They lacked that explosive element last year. Just two elements that stick out to me. The throw, kind of specific moments. He had a throw, Burrow I'm talking about, to Tyler Boyd. It was a 2nd and 8 in the second quarter. And they ran a little mesh concept in front of him. And they ran Boyd on a deep out to the left side. And he threw from the right hash. And that's a tough throw for somebody like him with his arm, and he made it beautifully. The way he layered that throw up above the corner to Boyd on that play was really, really impressive. And then a couple of the plays to Higgins where it was really, I think, 2 post corners in the span of 2 drives where he's just doing very nuanced work as a receiver on those plays. So that's the formula, right? Mm-hmm. You have a very nuanced number 1 receiver in his second season that you feel good about being kind of your number 1 option when you need a bucket. You have your slot guy in Tyler Boyd, and you have this explosive play waiting to happen, hopefully, in Jamar Chase. And you have the progression from Burrow. That is the formula they bet on, and that is the formula that I think we saw today.
Yeah, and even that 4th down call, the play action, I love the aggressive play call, but Burrow threw that guy open.
That's beautiful throw.
That's the stuff that's like you said. It's tough for him to, or it's a hard window when you have your arm strength like that, but you can still win this way. We saw Drew Brees, and that's a veteran Drew Brees guys over the years. As long as you operate on time and you're accurate, you can make a living that way, forever and ever and ever. As long as you just, stay healthy, of course, or just your knees don't cripple and fall apart. But it's just, but I think Burrow just doing it over and over and over. I mean, that just stuff is just that's how he has to win. That's what I've been wanting to see, that he can do it consistently, and he did today. And they didn't have to be an empty every single play to do it, which is just that changed up their looks a little bit, which was really cool to see.
I want to be clear about something. I think Joe Burrow is good. Yeah. I wanted to watch Joe Burrow this year. I was excited about what he would look like this season. When I was there, it was kind of after that wave of, is he comfortable? Does he feel healthy? It was post that. And at practice, he looked good. And they were talking about him in a way where they were feeling good about him. And I wanted to see this offense with that. I still think that their ceiling is capped by what their defense might look like over the course of the season. I absolutely thought this could be a top 10 offense coming into the year. And if they play like they did today, they absolutely have a chance to hit that. Again, the protection is going to be a concern, but I was always excited about Joe Burrow and these pass catchers in the best case scenario. So I just want to correct that for the record.
Yeah, the best case scenario is that he stays upright, gets the ball out. So that's why we wanted to see that. No, but
Yes.
I agree. But if he plays like he did today, like it's really cool. I mean, seeing quarterbacks operate like that, where it's not just overwhelming arm talent, it's truly seeing just everything look like clinic tape, where it's like
High level quarterbacking is what we saw today.
It's
Against a very well coordinated defense. There's going to be a world where he's not playing against Chris Boyd, as that other corner a lot. I mean, the Vikings corners, it's not a great situation. Like Rashad Breeland is a fine player, but they don't have a lot of depth there. We'll see what happens later down the road, but it's still a Mike Zimmer defense, and there's still a lot of talent on that team, and he played extremely well today. All right, before we move on, let's take our first break.
We'll return after these messages.
Now that the world's opening back up, so many new thrills are on the horizon. And whether you've been in a relationship for years, or just getting started, or excited to get back out there and meet new people, when the moment comes, you want to be ready. Roman ready. Go to GetRoman.com/Mays now to talk to U.S. licensed healthcare professionals. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. Roman ready equals confidence. The confidence that you know you can rise to the occasion in the moment. We're looking at the Summer of Love 2021 version, and Roman wants to make sure you can participate in your own way, whether that be as a single person or a couple who would rather stay in with each other. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, convenient, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/Mays and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a U.S. licensed healthcare professional and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/Mays, and if you're prescribed, get 50% off your first month of ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this summer. Roman ready. Growing up, cereal was one of the best parts of being a kid. But as I started trying to eat better when I got older, it's something that I just couldn't justify anymore. Thankfully, there's Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. It's also only 140 calories a serving. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. You can also build your own box. Available flavors to build your own very custom bundle are cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, cinnamon, cookies and cream, and maple waffle. Go to magicspoon.com/Mays to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code Mays at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/Mays and use the code Mays to save $5 off. Thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode.
Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
All right. We're going to wait for Nate to get back here. There he is. There he is. All right. So.
Oh, please tell me it worked. No.
This is what you deal with when you do these things live in week 1.
I just upgraded my internet, too. This is the most frustrating thing.
Trust me. Don't get started on the cable companies. All right. Every single week, we are going to have someone explain to us, or we're going to ask someone to explain to us what happened that day. So, there was a poor performance, a weird performance, whatever it might be. Somebody is going to have to explain what went on that Sunday. And this week, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars getting blown out by the Houston Texans. I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, here's what I'll say. First things first. Impressed by the Texans. They did some stuff, especially on offense, where I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like some of the RPO stuff that they did with Tyrod Taylor, I thought that he played well overall. But this is a team in Jacksonville that spent money this offseason. That even if they had the first overall pick last year, they brought back their entire offensive line. They had an interesting group of receivers. They went out and signed Shaq Griffin in free agency and Roy Robertson Harris in free agency and Rayshawn Jenkins in free agency and had a bunch of draft picks. And they did not acquit themselves very well here in the first game of the Urban Meyer era.
It's sad. It was sadly expected. Like I think it's because I'm not shocked that's why I'm not I have more to say about it. Like just how the Jags look throughout the preseason, they look so tense. Like the entire team just looks tense. And I mean, but anyways, but credit, like you said, credit to the Texans. Like those RPO stuff, like they were just running pistol like the entire game.
A lot of pistol stuff. A lot of pistol, heavy personnel.
Yep, they're 12-21, and I mean, it was almost like the Ravens kind of personnel looks, but like just like a little tweak off of that. And like they spammed this one play, which is just like a zone read RPO where the tight end goes to the flat.
Yep.
And it's a pain in the ass on the end because they don't know if he's getting kicked out, like a bootleg, or if he's playing RPO. It's a pain in the ass for him. So they just spammed it the whole game. They're like, hey, they're not getting coached up over there, so let's just run it over and over and over. But I mean, and just even with the Jag stuff, I'm curious to watch this again because this game was it was minimal. My experience watching this game, I was more highlights, and I watched like a quarter because I was like, what the hell's going on over there? But I do want to watch like what Trevor Lawrence did, and of course I just want to see his progression. He just looked like he was just so super aggressive. Like I was talking to you on the phone, it was like he had a high low, and it was like obvious that he should have just checked it down, but I could tell he was like, this game's getting away from us. Screw it. He just threw the corner. It was a picked off. The corner sank underneath it.
It was a great play by Vernon Hargreaves, by the way. Great play so they're in cover 2, and there was the back came as a flat controller to that side, but Lawrence stared it down the entire way. It was somebody, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Marvin Jones maybe running a little circus route. So try to get back in the hole. And Hargreaves just sank right underneath it because it's like, if you're not going to look at the back, you're taking me right to where the ball is going to go. Yeah. And those are the mistakes you're going to see, right? Like the game's getting away from you. He's a rookie quarterback. He had ball placement issues in this game. I mean, there were a few different plays. There was an RPO at one point that he missed. I want to say I think it was James O'Shaughnessy. He was a little bit behind him on an RPO. And then very next play, it was behind Chark on a slant. And just he airmailed the first interception that he threw. It was just a bad throw. That was bad. But there are several plays in this game where it's like, this guy's unbelievably talented. I mean, he had he had a seam ball that was the type of seam ball we saw him throw at Clemson. The touchdown that he threw was a ridiculous throw. I have concerns about everything around him and the infrastructure and just the way he's going to be asked to play this year. But he's a rookie quarterback. I think that he will be better later on down the road. But it was not a good showing, I think, mostly by the Texans defense or the Jaguars defense. I mean, the fact that Brandon Cooks is making all these plays down the field. I mean, it's Pharaoh Brown is screaming down the seam on you, catching the ball. I mean, it's just but those. This is a team that the Texans are full of Pharaoh Browns, right? And I think that's what they are. They are full of Pharaoh Browns
and Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks is beyond what the Texans are full of. But I think that those guys are put in very good positions to succeed today. The David Johnson touchdown, perfect example, right? The play before the David Johnson touchdown, they had him lined up, I believe, wide to the left, and he ran a little whip, and he was almost open for the score. And then the play after that, they clear out, they have him run into the flat, and they're just outmanned on that side. Miles Jack was losing his mind during that touchdown, after that touchdown. And that was the type of game it was. It was the type of game where the Texans consistently put their guys in the right spots, and the Jags were consistently looking at each other and be like, what the hell is going on right now? And I think it's a testament to the Texans coaching staff.
It really is. I mean, it really is. Like credit where credit's due. They did the smart thing. They didn't get spooked off any of their like what they were doing. Like they're like, no, we're gonna boot the crap out of them, and we're gonna make these guys like be wrong.
We're gonna make it hard on them. We're gonna make it hard on them as often as possible.
Exactly. And that's like, all right, good job. Like, I mean, you know what you are, and you won a game. Like you won a division game. Like that's what's awesome about it. And I really want. I just want to see what they did. Like I just want to see what the personnel looked like. Because I honestly, like, even the Jags.
It seemed really heavy. It seemed like they were in 12, like, the whole game. And again, similar to what you were talking about the Ravens, where it's like these little layers of complexity that you're throwing on things just to make it a little bit more of a pain in the ass to play against us. And I think that's what we saw from this team today. And Tyrod played well. I mean, he made, like, 3 or 4, like, really impressive scattered throws. And I came away from this game just being like, all right, man. Like the Texans looked really well coached and like they were really put together and good for them. I don't know what they're going to be over the course of the season. This is a talent deficient roster to say the very least, but there is a chance that over the course of the year, Tim Kelly, their offensive coordinator, who this is his first job outside. This is his first chance to coordinate this offense when Bill Bryan's not there. And I'm very curious what sort of offense we're going to see from him when it's like, all right, this is my show now. Like, obviously David Culley is there, but David Culley is not an offensive play caller. He's more of like a CEO type. You know, he was passing game coordinator with the Ravens. And so is Tim this like the purest version of what Tim Kelly wants from his offense with Tyrod Taylor as the quarterback? And what does that look like? And today, again, it was an offense that was a pain in the ass to deal with.
Yes, it stole a game. And that's the difference is the Jags offense. Like, this is just the best way to kind of like split it out. Like, you would take Trevor Lawrence over Tyrod Taylor a million times over a million, you know? And like, but these offenses, like you look at them, like if you go paper to paper, it's like, well, I would take the Jags offense, like just even the receiving core and just even O-line. And going with that, like, you know what you're getting with the Texas defense. It's Lovie Smith. It's cover 2. Like, you know what you're getting. So that's what is just more shocking that the game plan couldn't be put together. That's safer throws. I think they started the game with 9 straight throws or 7 straight throws or something like that. And it was just, so, like, again, credit to the Texans. Like, they got the Jags in bad position throughout the whole game, and it just took advantage of it. So, yeah. I don't know how to explain yourself. It's just like, yeah, but good job, I guess. Like, great job. Like, all those practices they canceled, I guess, in OTAs and training camp, didn't need them. They just came out and torched them.
All right. Let's get to a segment that is very important before week 1, and that's Pump the Brakes.
Pump your brakes, kid.
A lot of things happen early in the season where it's easy to overreact. It's very easy to overreact. Even down the road, I am prone to hyperbole. I am prone to overreaction. I'm occasionally going to need you to pull me back a little bit. Here, I want to pull a lot of people back. The Packers are probably going to be okay.
I think so.
Like, obviously, you come out, you have the worst loss of the Aaron Rodgers as a starter era. You lose 38-3 to the Saints. This is a game that got away from them. It's a weird situation. You're playing in Florida. You're playing against a well-coached team that still has a decent amount of talent. A few things go differently here and there. It doesn't get out of hand the way that it did. I think the Packers are going to be okay. Again, I'm just way more impressed with the Saints after this game than I am disappointed in the Packers.
I think that's the best way to put it. It was more like, wow, way to go, Saints. I mean, the Saints defense, like, I mean, it was hilarious, by the way, that like the third Packers drive of the entire game was with 1 minute to go in the first half. Like they only touched the ball twice through the first 2 quarters because the Saints had a 15-play drive, I think like a 7 or 11-play drive, something like that, and then another 15-play drive. And it was just like that. What a performance. Like, I mean, this is what I kind of thought the narrative with the Saints would kind of be, was that we would really realize that their best unit is the offensive line. We talked about this with Sheil on Friday. Or Thursday, Friday, whatever day it was. But it was just that whatever day I went 0-3 on. But it was just, but like talking about the Saints, I think that's just how they're going to be built, is what you just saw today. Like, it was just the play action stuff. James can get deep up with it a little bit. He had a couple of quick game stuff, but then it was just built through the run with Kamara, with a good run game, with strong offensive line. And then the defense just played aggressive as shit. They just kept getting in good positions. Like, Rodgers just had no time to get in rhythm. All of a sudden they were just down. I think it was the 17-0 by the end of the half or whatever it was. But it was just like he just got the game script just got out of hand. That's why it's one of those games. That's why you're just trying to say too at the beginning. Let's not overreact a little bit. The Saints pitched like basically a perfect game in the first half. I mean, you can't do any better than that. You had 2 15-play drives in the first half and you scored. Like, yeah, I think you're feeling pretty good going in the half, like the Saints were, and it was just good stuff. Jameis played well. Like, he looks a little bit better. Like, ball's coming out quicker.
Making plays with his legs.
Yeah.
He picked up several first downs with his legs, which I cannot imagine when you're playing against that team how backbreaking it has to be for Jameis Winston to pick up 3 first downs as a scrambler. It seemed like, I can't remember exactly, but I think a couple of them were on 3rd down, where it's just what, like, Jesus. Like, that is a deflating moment.
His limbs are flailing every which way.
Yes.
I know.
He's an even more chaotic runner than Mahomes is. And that says a lot. And when he's doing that, it's like, it's not your day. So obviously you have that. You have the offensive line, which the Packers' run defense has been a problem for a long time. I think this is more a case of the Saints' offensive line being their best unit and just kicking ass more than it is, are we going to get more of the same from the Packers' run defense? Again, it's week 1. Who knows?
Yes.
Maybe it is going to be a problem, but that's why we're pumping the brakes here a little bit.
Yes.
I think we should just talk more about how well Dennis Allen has coordinated this team and how well coached their defense looks consistently. There were a couple different plays. The first one that sticks out to me, early, I think it was on the Packers' first possession. Green Bay got Aaron Jones on a crossing route on third down, which they were like, oh, this is what we want, right? Like Aaron Jones on a linebacker. And he had like 2 or 3 steps on Quan Alexander. And Alexander takes just an incredible angle and tracks him down right in front of the sticks. Lattimore comes up with a little bit of support, a very rich Marshawn Lattimore now. And it's 4th down, it's time to punt. And it's like those plays kept coming up. Zach Baun had a really, really nice play where they tried to slice Tanyan out into the flat like they do a million different times in this offense. Baun read it perfectly, played sideline to sideline. Yeah, ate the route up, and then it allows Marcus Davenport to clean it up for a sack. That complementary football is every piece playing together. That's what their defense was doing today. And just little tiny wrinkles like Quan Alexander being the 4th rusher in a lot of their pass rush packages, where they'll have Tano, who his last name I can't pronounce, number 90, who came over from the Saints. Just another like, I'm going to knock people around type guy. And then him,
that's what they do.
That's what they do. Just these 285-pound defensive ends. So we're going to have him, Cam Jordan, and Davenport on the field together with Quan as a 4th rusher. So you still have 7 guys in coverage. And we have this weird package where we have 1 speed rusher that's working in stunts with these 3 guys that are just going to kick your ass.
Yes.
And I've always appreciated what they do in those 3rd down situations. Last year they had that. So the package was just 3 down rushers where they had the 2 wide guys in the nose where they would put those 3 defensive ends on the field together. Just little tiny things that they do consistently. I'm always impressed by. And today was another one of those games. I think the pick that Rodgers threw in the red zone is a perfect example. Like Cam Jordan's lined up over the right guard. He beats Royce Freeman, the rookie. Instant pressure. Rodgers feels a little bit antsy in the pocket, throws a ball that he shouldn't. It's a red zone interception. The game completely swings on that play. But you give credit to the Saints defense on that play. And they just have a lot of guys who can still make plays. And I think a coaching staff who consistently puts them in the right spots.
Yeah, and that's what you just said, that last sentence. Yes, like putting them in the right spots. How many times were they just driving on guys? Like just all those short routes.
They play so fast.
So fast. That's what the Packers breathe off, not just a nice run game, but just those nickels and dimes. Like we talked about the layups, and then then they hit 3 just gut shots on you. Like, boom, that's like kind of their game plan. And the Saints were just going, we're not even going to let you get that short shit. I mean, the Lattimore had a couple really nice plays. They were just all over those guys. They knew what was coming. They really had a good cognizant game plan. And that's, like you said, that speaks to Dennis Allen and the coaches putting them, and the players, of course, for operating that fast. But we've seen this before. A few years ago, one of the reasons I got on Cliff Kingsbury was he got basically blitzed out of his 3rd down plays because he had to throw hot over and over and over, and the Saints defenders just kept tackling them short. So it'd be like 3rd and 8, they'd tackle them like 4 yards short, and it happened the whole game. And honestly, like Cliff actually kind of grew from that at first, but it's like that's what they do. They use those pressures not so much to get to the quarterback, but to make quarterback go, like get rid of the ball, and they're going to tackle and they're going to play sound. So it's cool to watch a defense play that. Aggressive defenses are always going to be fun. And especially his, because they're sound. It's not just running shit to run shit. It's actually really good stuff.
And just the way they were playing off MVS too was such an indication of that's a coaching point. It's like, fine, like I will let you complete this underneath. Like there is one thing that is not going to happen. You are not going to run by me right now. There was that play down the left sideline when Rodgers tried to take the shot. It was not there at all. And then the pick that Marcus Williams made, just a bizarre choice. I mean, maybe you get to a point in the game where you're pressing a little bit. I don't know what he saw there when he just chucked it deep because, I mean, it seemed like they were in a too high look where Williams was on the other side and just walked into the interception. Yeah. But again, that's just the type of play that happens, I think, when the game starts getting away from you.
Exactly. That's a pressing play. And that, like you said, waltzing over to the ball. He meandered around the ref as he was running. Like he managed to do a left-hand turn signal and pass him. But it was that's exactly what it was. It was like, that's what Rodgers kind of did. Rodgers has always had such a low interception rate, not because he's just a freak of nature, but also he can be very safe sometimes. Like it's controlled aggression. He's all about knifing you when he could feel it, and then he just presses. If he feels that little inch that he can get on you, he's going to go after it. but sometimes he can be safe until he gets to that point. And it was weird to kind of see him being like screw it. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, it makes sense like that. Maybe he's never felt that way. The stat that they showed at the end of the game, the 35-point deficit was the largest loss in the game started by Aaron Rodgers. The one before was 31 points. This is the largest one he's ever had. So maybe that's why it is so weird to see it, because he's never really been put in a position like this.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. But again,
Totally
I came away from this game like, oh yeah, like I forgot, like the Saints may not be the Saints with Drew Brees anymore, but like we'll get to Sean Payton here in a bit. They're still the Saints in some ways. Like this is still a very well-coached team with talent isolated in important parts of the roster.
Yes, and a former number 1 pick at quarterback. It's not like Jameis Winston, some like 6th-round journey, man.
Yes.
This is a former number 1 pick. Come on.
Not asked to do a ton today, but almost you like that. Like we don't want him to have to throw the ball 55 times and play like that. It's like play within yourself, make a few scatter plays here and there. I'm excited to see what it looks like over the course of the year. All right, before we move on, we're going to take another quick break.
We'll return after these messages.
When you're traveling to a destination where you don't know the language, it can be challenging to accomplish even the simplest tasks. I know that I've had trouble while traveling to foreign countries. Simple as ordering in a restaurant or trying to get a cup of coffee or asking for directions. It's just so much harder to get around and get what you want done. Thankfully, there's Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app. Through Babbel's bite-sized lessons, you'll learn new language skills that you can actually use in the real world. From greetings, menus, and directions to gaining a deeper understanding of the culture, Babbel is a travel essential. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. With Babbel, you can choose from 14 different languages, including Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. There's so many ways to learn with Babbel. In addition to lessons, you can access podcasts, games, videos, stories, and even live classes. Start your new language learning journey today with Babbel. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use promo code MAYS. That's BABBEL.com, code MAYS, for an extra 3 months free. It's officially summer, and I, for one, couldn't be more excited. After a year spent inside emerging somewhat of a comfort connoisseur, I've realized that long days and warm nights just hit different when you're well rested. That's where Brooklinen comes in. One of the coolest things about Brooklinen is they've got so many options. They're famous for their luxe sateen and classic parasol sheets, but they've also got some amazing linen and even some cashmere sheets because why not? When it comes to prints and colors, they whip up new styles every season, like their new ochre colorway in linen and banana stripe pattern in classic and luxe, just in time for summer. Brooklinen sheets also pair perfectly with the rest of their bedding essentials like cozy comforters, pillows, and duvet covers. And since everyone knows summer comfort goes beyond the bedroom, they've also got some seriously great bath towels, robes, and beach towels too. All this high-quality, luxury-grade comfort without the luxury price tags, it's no wonder why Brooklinen's got over 75,000 5-star reviews and counting. So go on, get summer ready with quality comfort and get it for less at Brooklinen. Go to brooklinen.com and use promo code MAYS to get $20 off with a minimum purchase of $100. That's BROOKLINEN.com and enter promo code MAYS for $20 off with a minimum purchase of $100. That's brooklinen.com, promo code MAYS.
Not today, my good man. I'm feeling saucy.
All right, it's time for this week's Secret Sauce. This segment, for those who are uninitiated, is about just a subtle aspect of the weekend that we thought was particularly important, something that a team did that really was the difference in them winning or losing. And today we're going to talk about what Justin Herbert did on third down. As Bill Barnwell pointed out this afternoon on Twitter, Herbert finished 13 of 16 for 160 yards, 11 first downs, and a touchdown on third down. Sometimes third down stats are a little noisy. Yeah. It's hard to sustain. I think today was a combination of an uber talented quarterback, some very cool designs, and some just on the screws throws when they had to be made.
He hit a couple outbreakers that were, yeah, that's what we're talking about, baby. Like, but like you said, it was the combo of that. Like you kind of like, hey, let's talk about third downs. I went through every single one. I can't I broke them down play by play.
I have 6 of them. Every
Okay.
single one of them is a little bit different. So my favorite one, the one that kind of made me want to do this, is on their first drive. And this happened a couple different times. The Texans did this with Cooks, and I want to ask you about it. So on their first drive, it's 3rd and 5 from the 10, with about 10 minutes left in the first quarter. Have Keenan Allen wide to the right. They motion him into the backfield. And I think they just let him. It didn't seem like – it felt like that they run that play. You run that play, assuming you're going to get man coverage there. And then he runs an angle route out of the backfield just right across the thing. Though we've seen backs do a million different times. But you're doing it with Keenan Allen. And he's wide open. Herbert hits him, easy first down. The Texans also used Cooks in the backfield today on a key 3rd down. They motioned him down. So when you do that, when you're the Chargers, what are you trying to accomplish in that moment?
Well, first off, you're in that play, the one you're talking about, they bring him to the backfield. Yeah, so angles, as anyone that's played Madden, I think they run it in NCAA too. It's a great play in the red zone. It really is, because you get man and you get quarters. And quarters coverage, cover 4. That's a great beater against that. And you know what Jack
Interesting.
Del Rio,
Okay.
You know what Jack Del Rio likes to run?
Oh, we'll get to some of the quarters here in a second. Yeah.
so on those plays, you're going to have a crosser. The outside routes are what changes up based on the team. What you tag everybody else on the outside routes. You have alerts sometimes. You might have something over the top. But always on those angle plays, also known as short post. There's some other names people call it, but I know as angle. Texas, if you're running with the running back.
Texas route, yeah.
Yep. But angle.
The funny thing is we've seen Kamara do it how many times? And in this situation, it's Keenan Allen.
Oh, dude, we theorized about it. This offense was the Saints offense. This entire day was the Saints offense. I'm excited. Again, we're going to talk about it later. But like that angle play, so you're always going to have a crosser, and then you have the angle behind it. And so if it's quarters, the crosser is going to occupy the linebacker, and it has that void right behind it, almost like right inside the hash. And then if it's man, if it's one hole and if there's no pressure, they just bring 4. The whole player is like he's reading the quarterback's eyes, depends on the game plan. But the other defenders are playing with outside leverage. So same thing. So you have the whole defender there. Then the crosser occupies him. Same thing, outside leverage. Boom, there's the angle route right there. It's kind of funny. They bookended their 3rd downs today with angles. They did the one to Keenan Allen out of the backfield, and then they did Keenan Allen again, but out a bunch. And then they put that, which is the typical angle play. And they just did it where he was the outside guy, which was pretty cool. Usually you do it with the number 3 guy, the inside guy. So that was pretty cool. And they did it, and that's what they iced them the game going into the red zone again. But I mean, they did smash drive. I want to talk about one. Okay. I want to talk about this more like overall offensive philosophy. Say I love my ball winning X's. All right, Mike Williams in this offense is why I like my ball winning X's. This is a traditional NFL offense. And when you're in a 3-by-1 set, there's a 3-by-1 where you hit.
Or a 4-by-1.
Or 4-by-1. Yep, same theory. But you're isolating a guy. He has to win a true one-on-one. And what a lot of those ends up being go balls, fades, and stops. And it's just like you have to man-child a guy. And what you're doing with those 3-by-1 concepts, 3 receivers or 4-by-1, is what Herbert was doing is you're bypassing the read and you're saying, my guy is going to win. And I'm just going to screw whatever defense you just ran. I know you either have man or quarters or cover 3 over there. It's one-on-one between my X and your one receiver and your one corner over there. And he hit him like 2 or 3 times a day. He hit the stop route. It was in the bunch.
And then for the touchdown.
The touchdown, it was a fade.
Touchdown.
It was a fade touchdown, and then he hit another one where he back shouldered him on the final drive to ice the game. He hit another one. All the same thinking on those plays, and it's actually kind of cool. You saw the first, a short 3rd and short version, which was a stop route. You saw the 3rd and long version, which was a go ball back shoulder, and then you saw the low red zone version, which is a fade. And so you kind of got to see all 3 varieties of this. But that's why I have those traditional X's, because that's called a gimme. You're saying, that's my gimme throw. I like the one-on-one. It's a gimme. Take it. Screw the read. Gimme. So that's why I love that. And of course, it helps when you have Mike Williams, that's what he's best at, just posting guys up and just drop stepping on them he's a bruiser.
But that's what I want to see from this offense. I want to see them perfectly understand how to utilize their personnel. And they happen in so many different ways. There was a Keenan Allen one where there was a little stack. They motioned him down. He releases inside against St. Just and then cuts back out for another 3rd and 5. My favorite throw that he made, though, on 3rd down, it's 3rd and 10 from their own 43 with 9:30 left in the 3rd quarter. and they're on the right hash mark. They run off the quarter's corner on that left side, and then from the right hash mark, he throws like a 15-yard deep out to Jared Cook and makes it look easy. Like easy. When I was talking to Brandon Staley a couple weeks ago about Herbert for the story that I wrote, we were talking about those throws. And we were talking about if you have a quarterback who can throw the ball outside the numbers from the other hash consistently and accurately, it literally changes everything for a defense. It changes everything you can do. And he is a rarely talented thrower of the football. And when you can make those throws consistently, you change the complexion of how teams can play against you. And that's what he did today. And you just saw that. I mean, is he going to go 13 of 16 on every single day on third down?
No.
Probably not. But I think that this was a perfect encapsulation of what happens when your quarterback's ability, offensive design, and one-on-one personnel battles fall in your favor against what is a very, very good defense. Justin Herbert won them that game down the stretch. He made like 5 or 6 throws on the nails that won them that game, and it was awesome to watch.
He had well, and that's what is so cool at Herbert too, is that all these different throws we're describing all require different kind of skill sets or a different ability of throwing. I don't know what official term I would call it, but it's like you said, that deep sail route to Cook. Okay, that's an arm strength throw, and that's like, and he stood in the. I think some guy was kind of barreling down to her. A guy was rushing, and he was like, I don't care. Whipped it, just first down, fine. And then like the next one, like he's hitting out route to Keenan Allen. They ran the smash concept in the red zone, puts it like high to Allen because the guy was on the.
That was a layered throw. That was a layered throw. That was beautiful,
spicy. And then my favorite was the third and 16. They ran all curls, and they were. This is what you can do with Justin Herbert. This is what the Chiefs do with Mahomes on third and extra long or third and long. Is they go into traditional 7-man pro where it's the tight end, the running back, or if you have 2 running backs, they chip and release. And what you're doing is, if you want to bring pressure, we're going to wad it up and block it up because we're going to attack deep. It's a traditional 7-step drop back. Herbert can do that because that's what that deep curl concept was. And he hit the middle one to Keenan Allen, just lasered it. I mean, he hit the back foot of his drop. Allen was just turning his head around. Thing hit him right in the chest. I mean, it's just like, that stuff is so good. And on the same drive, like he's hitting like the basic dig, the back shoulder stuff, and then he's like doing like under center quick game, like 3-step quick game running stick. Like it wasn't even out of the gun. Like he looked like Drew Brees. Like he looked like a 6'6" Drew Brees. Like 1, 2, 3. It looks weird seeing a 6'6" guy do 3-step drops under center. And
he was awesome today.
And they're all
he was just it makes me
third down throws.
It makes me giddy to think about. I mean, it's just like, and again, this is against a defense that we think could be really good.
Top 5.
I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
And just he's making those plays. I cannot wait to watch what they look like all year because he was on a level today that was very cool to see.
The whole shot to the field. This was a first down play. It's not third.
Oh,
down.
yes.
He gets covered too. Hits a whole shot to the field. It's like, God dang.
Makes it look easy.
Makes it look easy. That's what's more I don't know, frustrating, but I'm jealous. I think that's the best. I'm very jealous.
All right. Last one here. This is our last news segment. We're going to talk about who gets the belt from week 1.
This belt is mine and not yours.
What was that?
I have no idea. We're going to have a conversation with Kent about what that drop is. All right. Every week, we're going to pick somebody that won the day, right? The guy that just owned that Sunday of football. And in a nod to Nate's very deep love of professional wrestling, it's only good, it's only right that we give that guy the championship belt. So, Nate, who gets the Athletic Football Show belt for week 1?
I'm giving him to Sean Payton. And, I mean, I guess I give that to the entire staff and the team, but it's Sean Payton. I'll give it to him. I'm going to give him the title belt. How prepared they were today, offensively, defensively, special teams. I mean, just the entire unit came out to play. I mean, the entire team came out to play. Getting Jameis Winston to look like a polished quarterback consistently, not just 1 or 2 snaps, but actually making a lot of smart decisions. I mean, I'm going to credit that to Jameis Winston because I've seen him with different coaches before, and I've seen the blemishes he had. It's 1 game. I know it's 1 game. But I'm going to give him the belt because I just think it was a fantastic job by the entire Saints team today.
I totally agree. This is the conversation we had on Friday about why Sean Payton would be a good coach of the year bet. Because this season has the chance and the setup to be a Sean Payton showcase season where you have this team that I think we all thought over the last few years had arguably the best roster in the NFL top to bottom, right? And they had Drew Brees. and it was hard to extricate what Sean Payton was as a coach from what Drew Brees was as a quarterback. We had some data, right? We got to see Teddy Bridgewater and scattered starts and Taysom Hill and whatever, and they look good. But that was stretches. Now we get a full season with no Brees. We get a team that had to go trade for a corner that they couldn't even play this week, where you're Paulson Adebo and Desmond Trufant are playing, and you don't have the depth that you've had before. Deontay Harris is the number one receiver on this team right now with Marquez Callaway. Like, that's where this team is, and they shellacked the Packers. It wasn't that they beat the Packers. They destroyed them on a neutral field. And I think that's all you need to know about the job that Sean Payton did, how ready these guys were. The fact that they have been away from New Orleans for the last however many weeks since the hurricane, the fact that they've been displaced and they're dealing with all of this stuff, and to play with the energy they did today, when you consider just how high the degree of difficulty was, it says so much about that staff and just the overall mindset and approach and just everything that they have come to be as a franchise. I was extremely impressed.
It felt like a bowl game atmosphere there. It was not a neutral site. It was like, I know, it was like, that's what it felt like. It was like 70-30 Packers fans. It was actually really cool to see the Saints fans at the end of the game just high-fiving the shit out of each other. Just like, this should have been the Superdome. It was pretty cool to see that. But I know it felt like it should have been at the Gator Bowl. I mean, between a Big Ten and SEC team, and the SEC team didn't travel. The Wisconsin fans couldn't get ready to get out of the cold.
All right, a few things that we're going to keep an eye on this week that we're going to rewatch that we didn't have a chance to talk about or didn't have a chance to watch as much as we wanted live. Sam Darnold's performance against the Jets. Yes. I definitely want to go rewatch that. I mean, the numbers were very good. He had a couple really nice moments. It's the Jets defense, obviously comes with that caveat, but how he looked in his first game, curious to watch that. Eagles-Falcons, I didn't watch the Eagles-Falcons. I caught a couple scattered plays. Just, you can't watch everything. I'm going to rewatch that game this week. I'm sure we'll talk about it. And I want to dig deep into everything about the Chargers game, the way they looked on defense, just some of the fact that they really talk about putting a roof over somebody. That Washington had nothing going down the field the entire game, and that's by design. So I'm excited to see the way that the Chargers use their defensive personnel. That's all stuff that we will get to. One bit of housekeeping before we get out of here. We have a mailbag show that we're recording tomorrow. Please submit questions. I would really appreciate that. We have a voicemail line, so you can call and you can leave us a voicemail. We will use them on the show. The number is on the screen right now. For the podcast people, it is 872-222-7073. One more time. It's 872-222-7073. Call us. Leave me a message. We would love to hear from you. I'm recording the show with Mike Sando tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. We'll have a different rotating co-host every single week. You can also email us, athleticfootballshow@gmail.com. Doesn't get any simpler than that. athleticfootballshow@gmail.com. If you want to send us an email question. You guys do such a good job with the questions whenever you do a mailbag. That's why we're doing it every week. So if you don't hold up your end of the bargain, then we're kind of screwed here. So please get your questions in. I would sincerely appreciate that. I also sincerely appreciate you guys listening. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to do this. Apologies for the internet snafus. That's what's going to happen in week one when you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants here. We will fix that in the future. We're going to be doing this every single Sunday night. So please come back and hang out with us every single Sunday night. In the meantime, please rate and review the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. The season is here. We would love your feedback, but only if it's good. So please do that. And please rate and review the podcast. Please subscribe to The Athletic, theathletic.com/football show. I'm telling you, you cannot keep up with the league without a subscription to the site. You need one. Go get one if you do not have one. We will be back tomorrow with Mike Sando doing mailbag questions. Submit your mailbag questions. Until then, we'll talk to you guys later.